Hey everyone, it's Lachlan here with a first impressions video of the Beyerdynamic T51P portable on-ear headphones. Now recently I asked my backers on Patreon what was the next kind of fancy portable headphone that they wanted to see on the channel. And the two most popular options were the upcoming Audio-Technica ATH M70X and the Beyerdynamic T51P. Now I obviously want to get my hands on a pair of M70Xs, but there's no firm release date yet in Australia. So I went with a second choice, still a very, very lovely choice, of course, the T51P. And I got this for 299 Australian dollars at minidisc.com.au at their really quite lovely showroom, which I intend on making a video in the future about. But let's talk about the T51P. The videos on this channel are supported by viewers just like you. I want to give a special thanks to the 58 people who helped out. So, as you know, the Sennheiser Inferior here is my favorite portable on-ear headphone. And it's really my kind of go-to portable headphone, just because I find generally with on-ears, they play a bit more nicely, I should say, with my glasses, just because I've got one pair of glasses where around-ear headphones don't quite seal as well with. And I really like the Inferior, not in the least because I got a pair of these for $160, because this is technically a discontinued headphone. And I was really curious, ever since I heard about the T51P and I heard some of the good reviews of it, how this would compare. And I've spent, a few days with it, and I can give you a pretty good impression of my thoughts at the moment. So let's start with the build. The T51P has a really solid build. It's all mostly metal with some nice soft touch plastics around the ear cup. It's very lightweight, and as you can tell, it's a much smaller headphone even than the Sennheiser Inferior, just in terms of overall footprint. It's got smaller ear pads, smaller ear cups, everything like that. That said, I actually find this a more comfortable headphone than the Inferior, despite having smaller ear cups, because I find that the ear pads rest on my ears more evenly, and so the clamping pressure is a little more evenly distributed across both the ear pads and the headband itself. It's also a headphone that folds both ways, which is kind of convenient compared to the Inferior, which folds no ways. And I actually find that noise isolation on the T51P is at least as good, if not better, than the Inferior, because I actually find that these ear pads, I actually get a sense of suction or a sense of a seal around my ears. So these just happen to fit, I guess, my head really, really well. And that's a really a bit of a relief for me, especially because on the previous models, or I shouldn't say previous models, but the other model, like the Beyerdynamic DT1350, I found these parts of the headband, these two sections, would press into the side of my head, which wasn't pleasant. Thankfully, that problem is not present on the T51P. One thing to note is that this is not a split headband, even though it appears to be so. This is just a normal headband that has a kind of cutout in the middle. Not a big deal for me, I still find, because these headphones are very lightweight, but they have enough clamping force and friction from the ear pads that they are very stable on the head. So no complaints there. I'm really quite happy with the comfort and the feel of these headphones. My one big complaint about the design of this headphone is that the cable is dual entry, and that's a little strange for a portable headphone made recently. And because it's a dual entry cable, it's actually quite difficult to immediately tell which is the left and the right ear cup on this headphone. The only clue you really have is the braille lettering and the L symbol on the left ear cup side, I should say. Also, this headphone is made in Germany, for anyone who's kind of curious about that, so that's pretty cool. And the other complaint I have about these cables is that they're also a bit thin. And they don't seem as kind of durable as some other cables I've seen on portable headphones. And I guess, hand in hand with that is that these aren't detachable cables. So unlike with the Sennheiser Inferior, I can't imagine that you can replace many of the parts of this headphone. So that's going to be a bit of a letdown for some people. Anyway, let's talk about the sound. Again, I would say in a word, these sound great. Now, what I like about the inferior is that the inferior is a headphone with a really nice, fun bass response. It's got these vibrant mids. It's really fun for electronic music, but it's still very technically capable. It's clean and it's kind of tight. So, I really like it. Now, I know for some people, the mids on the inferior can sound a little bit harsh and a bit brassy. I don't find this to be quite the case, but sometimes at higher volumes, when you're in a noisy environment, it can just be a little too forward on some tracks. Well, with the T51P, you have sort of like the inferior sound signature, but it's tweaked quite a great deal. So you take the inferior and then you add a much more thicker mid-bass tone. So the T51P is somewhere in a halfway point between the Sennheiser inferior and the Beats Solo 2 in terms of the thickness of the bass note. Now, I find the bass really satisfying on this headphone. It's really deep, it's substantial, it's punchy, and it's tight, but it's quite a, definitely the main component of the sound is this really quite aggressive bass note. The T51P also pulls back on the mids and the treble compared to the inferior, making them a little more subdued and easygoing. Now, that means that the soundstage is compressed a bit more compared to the inferior because you don't get that, you don't get quite as much of that treble shimmer with these. At the same time, the highs are still really clean and detailed. They're just more gentle. So, I wouldn't say that they're rolled off or muffled, but they are definitely, the vocals do shine a little less than they do on the inferior. It's just overall more gentle approach. The T51 overall sounds really clean and fast, and they just have a really great sound, and that's remarkable because I've always thought that smaller on-ear headphones don't tend to sound as good. This is an exception to the rule, I guess. It's the instrument separation is great, the noise isolation is really good, and that means you can kind of enjoy your music even in noisier environments. Now, this is not going to be the headphone for people who want a leaner sound or more of a treble focus. And for those kind of people, I would look at other headphones on the market. I especially think that the new Audio-Technica ATH-M SR7, even though it's not the most comfortable headphone in the world, it is going to be that headphone for people who want more of a leaner kind of sound. These are still really clean and detailed and focused, but they do have a thicker, bassier overall signature, and for some people that's going to sound too thick. Now, they're not going to match the inferior for value for money if you can find the inferior at a discontinued price. And I think that the detachable cable and the replaceable parts and a bunch of other kind of aspects of the inferior are going to make them more suitable for certain people, especially if you're a DJ or anyone like that. For me, though, to get a headphone that is, to me, more comfortable than the inferior, it has a bit more of a commuter-friendly signature, but at the same time it still matches the inferior on technical ability. It's more comfortable, it's more compact. That makes this a winner for me. Even though these are first impressions, it's pretty clear that I'm going to really end up liking these headphones. So thank you once again to all my backers on Patreon for giving me a chance to try these out and share my thoughts on them with you. You can talk to me on Facebook at facebook.com/LachlanLikesAthing or on Twitter at LachLikesAthing. Thanks to all my regular subscribers, and happy listening.